24th for us.
All right, everyone. CPO here. This is May 23rd. This is CPO Hangout number. Is this number 23? 23 on the 23rd. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Holy cow! I could have planned that better. So anyway, yeah, I planned that. The 23rd Hangout on the 23rd of May. Of course, that would have happened. Anyway, so here we are. And that's it. You guys are seeing me. I'm an old glasses wearer tonight, so that's a new thing. Hopefully, it doesn't drive you crazy. It's driving me crazy already because I see my screen reflection in there. Anyway, so that's it. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with me on Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter, you'll see I have a crashed 550, so I'll certainly tell you about that. And what else is going on. So anyway, let's just do some introductions first. I want to know, what you've been up to since you were last on, and then I want to know what your plans are for. If you're in the States, this is a holiday weekend for us. So if you got any big plans for the holidays, and if you're not in the States, you guys don't have a holiday this weekend. That's what I want to know. So. Anyway, I guess Lee, you're up because Raj just dropped off, so now you became next on my list.
Okay, well, it's been a while since I was on.
Something about a birthday?
Oh yeah, just a little thing, you know.
You know, those happen every year. They're not that great.
Yeah. Yeah, the beginning of the month, I got in a load of flying. We had a week of just totally calm winds. And I think I got about 50 flights in 1 week. Wow. And then the wind came, and we've had 30 to 50 mile-an-hour winds for the last 2 weeks.
That's great for work, though, right?
Well, actually, it's too much. It's gone the other way. And May's the quiet time anyways. Not many people come. So as far as work's concerned, it's been terrible. But yeah, no, I had some good flying at the beginning of the month. Started to get my my pyro flips or pyro flips dialed in nicely. Trying to work on the doubles now, and I was flying today as well, and I'm starting to work on the pyro TikToks. But some of the orientations I keep pushing the wrong way, and so it gives me a bit of a shock. But yeah, it's going well. My Goblin is still sitting here.
I see it's not. It doesn't have any main blades on it.
No, it's got the BK cyclic servos on it now, which is what I was waiting for. They took a month and a half to get to me. They arrived in Spain, and then a month later, just over a month later, they got to my door. I don't know what happened to customs. They went on holiday or something. But yeah, I got those, and then I got the final piece of the puzzle today, which is I got the batteries, which are the Revo Electrics ones.
Oh, okay.
And I got them from the Singapore factory. You have a warehouse in the States, but for the rest of us, we get them from Singapore. And I mean, I haven't used them yet, but just looking at them, I'm very impressed. They actually come with your name on them. I think you can see that. So I've got my own name printed on the batteries.
Wow.
And,
is that for like warranty stuff?
Sorry?
Is that for warranty?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, they both have my name on the front, and on the back you have this sticker, which is a heat-sensitive sticker. So it gives you, depending on which one, I think if I put my thumb on the middle one, yeah, it says 55 degrees on it. Well, you can't see it on there, but yeah, as the battery heats up, obviously it goes from black to clear, and you see the number on it, so it tells you if your battery's getting too hot or not.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're only $65 each. So that's for a 6S 3300 40C.
The only thing it's missing is a voltage readout on it or something, huh?
Yeah. So we'll get them all soldered up tomorrow, and hopefully I'll get this Goblin maidened at last.
Yeah, I hadn't even looked at Rev Electric's batteries. I'm on their website now. Now that you brought them up, and the prices don't look that horrible, actually.
Yeah, and they've got a 10% discount going on at the moment as well. So that's pretty good.
They used to be really big in the UK, but then I think OptiPower came along and kind of out-marketed them basically, and probably outpriced them in the UK as well, which isn't a difficult thing to do.
Well, we'll see how they go. I just bought one set, so we'll just run the Goblin on those and see how they go, and if they're good, I'll get another pack.
And you're running 12S on that, right?
Yeah, 12S. So you can. I was told that you could actually, because listening to Bert's videos, they say the 3300 is about the biggest size you can get in the Goblin 570. But I've heard that with the Rev Electrics packs, the 4400 will actually fit in there. So, but I thought obviously extra weight is probably not too good, so I thought I'd go for the 3300s.
Yeah. So maybe it's a slimmer profile battery then?
Yeah, it's shorter, definitely, than the other ones I've looked at. They all tend to be around 140 long, and this one's, I think, 136. So a bit extra space. And I ordered a pinion for my Goblin as well, because I wanted a 23-tooth pinion to up the head speed a bit for the governor. But the pinion arrived, and I thought, this doesn't look right. When I opened it up, it's the pinion for a 700 Goblin. They sent me the wrong one.
That means you need to upgrade your heli already.
I said to them, don't bother sending me the replacement. I'll just get a 700 as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's it. So lots of flying, lots of improving, and lots of fun. So yeah, it's all good.
All right. Well, Raj?
Hi, how are you?
I'm wondering if we should hit you before you drop off again. You've been kind of bouncing in and out tonight.
I don't know what's going on. It's just really strange. How you
What's
guys been?
up to?
What have I been up to? Today I was cleaning the garage all day, rather than building my new helicopter.
Oh, new helicopter, huh? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I got the nitro bug bit me. I'm assembling a Synergy N7 as we speak.
You suck.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you very much. This thing is beautiful, let me tell you.
Consider that a compliment, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I said you have to consider that a compliment, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I keep losing my mouse, so I'm plugging back in my wired mouse again tonight. Saving myself the grief.
Looks like Adrian's having problems tonight, too.
Yeah, it's a technical difficulty night, I think. That's all right. We'll get it out of the way. That's what happens when you have the 23rd on the 23rd. Just weird things, crazy things happen.
Yep.
All right. So, you weren't here when I asked this, but do you have any plans for the holiday weekend since you're in the States?
Well, basically what I'm going to do is go to the flying field on Saturday and Sunday. And, you know, my Goblin 500 is flying. And my 450s and 500 I left in Arizona. So all I've got that's flying right now is the Goblin 500. And I hope to get through some batteries on that machine this weekend.
So not going to be able to burn any nitro this weekend then, huh?
I doubt that I'll have it ready this weekend. You know, I'm just taking my time on the build and just enjoying it, basically. It's going together nicely. I was able to accumulate all the parts that I needed before I started the build, and like I say, it's going together quite nicely. It's a beautiful kit. One thing that Matt Bodos does is he takes each assembly and puts all the screws that are required for that assembly into the holes that they go in. So you have to take it all apart and Loctite everything, but you know you've got all your parts when you take it out of the bag, which is quite nice.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's always dreadful to dump out a bag of screws and realize you're one short.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily I haven't never had that happen to me, but really this is only the second helicopter that I've ever built. So.
Cool. Well, I'm a little bit jealous. The only thing that makes me nervous about the nitros, actually there's a lot of things, but is the maintenance side of it, is how hard are they to keep up. So as you get it built, I'd be curious to hear your experiences.
There's 3 or 4 guys in the club that I fly with that have T-Rex 700Ns, and the maintenance on what I see them doing isn't that much. They make sure that everything is tight after every flight, and they wipe it down. But one guy says the only maintenance that he really does is he flies with one of those fuel sponges that are called fuel magnets. He says all he does is just put fuel in it and hang it on the wall until the next weekend, and then he's back out flying again. So
interesting.
I'm not sure that there's any extra maintenance that you would encounter over and above what you would have with an electric.
My problem is I'm the guy that every season when it's time to start mowing the yard, my lawnmower doesn't work because I forgot to clean out all the old gas from the season before, and it locks up, and I'm just I hate that kind of stuff. But of course the helicopters I tend to play with year round, it seems. So I don't know if they'd sit that long, but that just makes me nervous dealing with fuel systems. That if you don't do something right, you'll be screwed.
Yeah, my friend Nick says that he leaves fuel in his all winter long, and then he just goes for it next spring. I'm pretty sure he says he drains it and refills it with fresh fuel, but he leaves a full tank all winter, which kind of makes sense because when you leave a fuel tank, you don't get any real moisture condensation or anything like that, in the fuel.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's go down the line. We'll hit Keith up next. Keith Ireland, this is his first visit to the Hangout. How you doing, Keith?
Yeah, good. Thanks for the invite.
Tell us about yourself.
I haven't really been... all right. I'm from Australia, as you may have noticed from the accent. It's a terrible day here at the moment. Sun's out, it's 25 degrees, but it's blowing a gale, so no flying. I've been into helis for nearly a month now.
No, well, welcome.
So yeah, we're well and truly new. I was going to join the last hangout a couple of weeks ago, but it was my birthday and my partner decided it was time to go out and buy me something. So come home with 2 helis. Cool.
That's better than hanging out with us, trust me.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't too bad. So yeah, I'm hopper training at the moment with my 120 SR, little blade, and just about finished my first build on Thunder Tiger Mini Titan. So basically a little brother to your 550, I think.
Nice. Is that the 320? Is that what that is?
Yeah, 325 SE.
Okay, yeah.
So it's all got the full alloy bling. So yeah. And
cool.
Being a CNC machinist myself, it's kind of fun to check out all the little pieces and think, oh shit, how would I make that? Yeah,
Nice.
It was yeah, it's an adventure.
Does that mean you're building your own crash kit?
I wish. I wish. No, I don't have the time at work at the moment to do that. So, and the pieces are just too cheap to bother trying to make yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway,
Cool.
That's me. So.
All right. Well, welcome.
Cheers.
Casper, what's up, man?
I think the order of the day is flying and fixing. So, been flying the 450 for a while now and getting a little more comfortable with it. I put a larger skid on it so it rises above the tail area a little bit better and then gives me a little bit more stable platform on landings. The 480 stretch is about ready for wiring. I was waiting to get some of this PET wire covering. I don't know if you've used it before. Instead of the shrink tubing, it's a plastic mesh You can run stuff through kind of like a conduit.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to try to do the wiring, hopefully on tap this weekend. On the 500 that I showed you the last time, looked at it a little more closely. It had some tail rotor issues, so we got some parts in and started redoing the tail assembly this weekend. So that seems to be what's on store. Weather isn't going to cooperate that much. We're going to have intermittent rain and thunderstorms, so it doesn't look like we'll get a lot of flying in. So probably build time and other things.
Awesome. All right.
We're using paracord in our neck of the woods to put our servo wires in. That seems to be the latest and greatest rage.
Huh, that's a good idea, and cheap too.
Yeah, you can get it in multiple colors too. And it's cheap. It's cheaper than that wire mesh, or that plastic mesh.
Yeah, the plastic mesh, depending on the quality of it, sometimes it can be a pain to deal with too if it's not very flexible.
Right. So I put it on my Goblin, and I changed out the ESC the other day to an Edge 100, got rid of the Talon 90, and I put the paracord on any of the wires that I had to deal with in that, and it went very smoothly. So you might want to think about that, Casper.
Okay.
That's a good idea. All right, Dave, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, doing well. Not much new here. It's been, my schedule's a little bit out of control, and then for whatever reason, so is the weather. Yesterday it was just insane thunderstorms. Today it's 90 degrees and blowing 20 outside, so weather can't make up its mind, spring or winter.
Where exactly are you, Casper? Or
I'm in Dave. I'm in Central California.
Central California. Okay.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we've been getting hit crazy daily thunderstorms as well, and it's yesterday, I think, or the day before yesterday, it was like 85 degrees and humid as all get out in between storms.
Yeah, I did fly a little bit yesterday. I sort of snuck out between storm systems rolling through, but it was brief. On the plus side, a friend of mine gave me a really nice 24-inch monitor he had spare. He ordered a bunch of stuff for his office, and so now you guys look really large.
Nice. I'm not sure if that's good for you or not.
Yeah, it's life size now compared to my 14-inch laptop.
Well, that's awesome. Cool. Any big plans for the holiday?
Oh. Yeah, I was trying to, while you guys were talking, I was trying to find it. I'm reasonably certain this weekend they have a giant scale fun fly out at the Fresno Madera Air Club, and I've been out there in years. They don't do helis, it's just all planks, and most of them are extremely large. But from my understanding, it's the largest large-scale fun fly this side of the Mississippi. So they have quite an event. So I may head out there at some point this weekend and see what they have going on.
Cool. All right, Clay. What's up, man?
What's going on? Not much. Same old, same old. Just working. It's been rough. Just got off actually today. It was my first day off of a couple days of 12-hour shifts. Tried to get a little skateboarding in, and that lasted about 2 hours, and I was already done. Just trying to play catch up and relax. Got to work this weekend for Memorial Day weekend. I'm unfortunately working. I did, however, manage to get in a little bit of time on the 130X, and I got the Castle 120 ESC installed on the 550. So that's about all the progress I've made over the last 2 weeks.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess that is what it is. If you're working man, you're working man.
Got to be.
All right. Aid, looks like you're back technically.
Yep, I think I'm in one piece. Yep, I think so.
Nice. You all hopped up on Red Bull?
No, just coffee. Just coffee. Lots of coffee.
Been up to anything exciting?
Well, mostly working, did a little bit of flying, and got out on the bicycle a bit, which I haven't done for quite a while. I needed to because I'm putting on weight, I'm eating too much as well. And getting ready for, well, obviously we've had 2 rotary shows in pretty quick succession due to various timing issues. And it's a zone competition this weekend, which is about an hour and 20 minutes away. So Nick is up there commentating, and I'm going to go up and join him. Well, we're going to hopefully do something a bit live tomorrow night, and then there'll be various videos and interviews and stuff going up during the day on Sunday. And we're not sure about Monday yet, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So hopefully, lots and lots of stuff coming out of zone this weekend.
Nice.
Been a bit hectic getting the technical sorted. It's a bit of an unknown, the internet where the competition is. So I've got mobile phones and the Chromebook and Nick's laptop, and apparently there's Wi-Fi there, and the phone signal should be okay, and all sorts of other backup things. Sorry, I hate to get out of this place.
Nice. Yeah, it's tough. Even if there's Wi-Fi there, it's if it's not quality Wi-Fi, it might be better to use a cellular network.
Yeah, my Nexus 5, I'm on 3, and I've got unlimited data, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue as long as there's reasonable phone signal. But we should be okay. Fingers crossed.
Nice. Well, I was telling these guys, I don't know if you heard it when you were popping in and out, but I had, obviously mentioned my 550 crash, and you had, right before we started the hangout, had made a crash assessment based off of the single photo I picked, and I was kind of looking at it real quick. We were just getting ready for the hangout, but you're pretty darn close. I haven't taken it apart yet, but I checked out all the servos. They all look good. Pretty much the main gear's toast, and I'm assuming the spindle is going to be that way based on the look of the blades, which are broken. Each one broken in 2 places. I'm assuming I might have tweaked the spindle and maybe the main shaft. I'll check that, but thankfully I already had those parts. So I placed some quick replacement parts order. I lost a link, so you nailed that as well. One of the links from the swash to the main grips is MIA, and I wasn't going to dig around the grass looking for it. So, but that's it. I think the tail boom is nice and straight, and obviously the skids are toast. But no frame damage. The battery tray, all that breakaway plastic on the frame of the heli is still solid. It's just I'm really impressed with how the skids is designed to break away, because it absorbs most of the energy, I think.
My X5 is the same. It's so nice to be able to just pick the thing up off the ground and go, oh look, I've got broken skids, but everything else is in one piece. Changing things is never fun.
And replacement skids are dirt cheap. It's like $13 or something like that for a set of skids. So I found the main blades. I was actually shopping around a little bit for main blades, thinking, if I can find the Thunder Tiger blades, I think are normally $70. And I like the blades. They're okay. I wish they weren't all black, but they are. But they're okay. Then I started looking around to see if I could find some different blades, maybe cheaper. And I was looking at RJX, actually. because I could find those for like 60. And then even all the others like rails and just all the other more higher brand blades were 70 to 80 bucks. So they're all pretty comparable. But with Tower Hobbies, if I place an order over 50 bucks, which obviously a set of blades is, I get a $10 discount. So it takes the $70 blades down to $60, and all of their shipping is $1.99 for less than 100 bucks, and over 100 bucks is free. But when I do the math of the shipping plus the discount, it ended up being just as cheap or cheaper to just buy the Thunder Tiger blades again for it. So I just ordered those. I couldn't remember if there was any other really great sources for blades, but all I know is I wanted to order them today. I crashed yesterday, right? So I wanted to order them today so that I wasn't out any longer than I had to be. So Tuesday I can start rebuilding, assuming I didn't miss something critical. But I ordered, the main gear. I ordered anti-rotation gear just in case there's something wrong with that, if it strips something out with the belt. But I throttle held it pretty quick, so it didn't spend a lot of time floundering around in the grass. So
what actually happened?
I don't know. It was me. It was the dumb thumb. It wasn't the heli. And I wasn't doing any super awesome maneuver that I can say, yeah, I was a triple, Piro backflip with a whatever. I just literally was flying around. I was doing a bunch of, just working on trying to tighten up my flips and rolls, working the collective management so I was getting it to roll in place as opposed to, taking up a lot of air. Just trying to tighten those things up. And then I was doing, I guess, kind of a figure eight sort of a flight pattern. And I don't know what happened. I was way too low, first of all, because by the time I realized I was in trouble, I was already in the ground. So I don't even know. I don't know if I just lost orientation. It was kind of that gray time of day where the sun was going down, and I was just trying to get one more flight in before it got dark. I wasn't flying with a canopy, so my canopy is pristine, which I often don't fly with a canopy anyway. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just lazy. But yeah, I was coming around, and it was about as far away from me as I felt comfortable getting, in the area that I fly. It's about as far away as I'd get anyway. And I remember going across, like diagonally away from me, and for some reason, I don't know what happened, but I stuffed it into the ground.
That's probably why you lost orientation, because you didn't have your canopy on.
Yeah, it could be.
About to say the same thing.
Yeah, that might be my lesson. Yeah, especially when it's near the ground and it's all dark and the ground is dark,
Yeah, you're on to a leader there.
Trying to get that last flight in before dark is probably what did you in. I know that's done me in a couple of times.
Just one more battery. I got one more battery that's charged up.
I've
And only
that
being 2.5 mistakes high as well instead of 3 probably didn't.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so guilty of that I know when I start out that I want to be 2 to 3 mistakes high, and I'll get way up there and I'll do some stuff, and then I'll get really comfortable with myself, and then it starts getting lower and lower and lower and lower, and pretty soon I'm flying around 2 feet off the deck like an idiot, and I just don't have any time to react to anything. If I goof up, it just always ends in a stellar display. But so the other thing with this is, the question is the heli back? Is the heli running perfectly? Because you guys all know I've been kind of trying to troubleshoot different problems. And the funny thing is it's not 100% solved yet. Of course, now maybe I'll replace some parts accidentally that might fix it. But it's been an interesting trial, but I had the motor completely get destroyed on me. Right, one of the magnets fell off, and then the motor ate itself. I got a replacement motor, and got all that put on. Didn't change anything really, but what I found is if I crank the head speed up, like I think I'm running 90% head speed on the throttle curve, which my best guess is probably around 2600 RPM, maybe at full battery.
Isn't that a little high for a 550?
It's a little bit
that's
high.
about right.
I mean, it's a little high. I mean, you could probably get down to about 22 to 2300 safely. But here's my problem. When the battery depletes past about half charge, let's say I get down to 3.8 per cell, and I lose just a little bit of voltage, I start to get that wobble in the tailback. And it's almost like, you know, they will say that if your tail's wobbling, your head speed's too low, and raising your head speed will go away. Well, I found if I put it at 85% throttle curve, I've got that little wobble, bump it up to 95% or 90, whatever it's at, and the wobble goes away and the tail is locked in, it's solid. And then I'll fly it for half of a pack, and then that wobble will start to come back. So it almost feels like the head speed's too low, but I don't think it's that low. I mean, I'm not flirting around with like 2,000 or lower RPMs. I mean, it's just acting right now. Of course, right now it's acting really horribly because the blades are all bunged up on it. But you know, yesterday when I was flying it, it would act really solid at full battery, and about halfway through the flight, it would start loosening up. And when I get all the way down to the bottom end of the flight voltage, let's say, you know, 3.5 or 3.6 per cell, it'll be wobbling quite a bit. So I don't know if that changes anybody's thoughts on what my challenge is, but
when you say wobble, you mean it bobs up and down, right?
Yeah, it's kind of more of a vertical bob.
Yeah. You know, I had that problem. I had that problem on one of my 450s, and I just bumped the head speed up about 5%, and then it fixed it. So I think you're on the right track with going after higher head speed, but you know, it seemed to me like 25 might be a little helicopter.
I agree. That to me really smacks of a vibration issue. I had a very similar thing happen on my 450 last year, and I know somebody else had a very similar thing happen, and it turned out we both had the same problem. It was a motor issue, and the motor hit a certain RPM. You could actually almost see it, motor vibrate slightly, and I found that, you know, just certain RPMs it flew great, and if you certain other RPMs, and in my instance, it flew best at a really hot head speed. I was flying my 450 like at 3,100 RPM, which is really fast for what I usually do. I prefer, you know, 20, maybe 29 tops, but whenever I flew in that area, thing would just do all kinds of bizarre stuff to me. Ended up replacing the motor, and problem went away.
So that was one thing I was thinking about, but I've already got a new motor, right? My first motor got tanked. It ate itself. I don't know what it is about me and motors and helis, but it seems to be a thing for me. But so I put in a brand new motor, and it was still exactly behaving the same way. But I did some testing, and I fired it up. I actually got all this on video yesterday before I crashed it. I got a lot of great video, test video. But I fired it up. I removed the belt from the tail, from the gear, so that and basically kind of stabilized the heli on the ground with some string and some weight, so it wouldn't the tail wouldn't kick out on it because there's no tail to counteract the rotor movement. And fired it up with blades on, but no belt. And still got quite a bit of vibration out of it, because I was trying to isolate, is it a tail problem or is it a head problem?
Right.
I took it out. I took the head completely out. Matter of fact, I used the Dubrow balancer. We talked about doing this before, and I balanced the entire head assembly with the rotor blades on it. They were out just a little bit. I had one that was a little bit on the heavier side with the entire assembly. Without the head, they balanced perfectly fine, but with the entire assembly put together, one side was a smidge heavy, so I, added a strip of electrical tape to the other side to get it perfectly balanced, assembled, and that didn't change anything either. The only thing I haven't changed is the feathering shaft or the main shaft. That could be a source for vibration, but both of those look fine. I mean, unless... Go ahead.
I'm starting to think that maybe you're running it too fast. And that you're overstressing kind of thrust races and stuff. And then that's causing you vibration.
But if I run it lower, it vibrates all the way up until it hits a higher speed, and then it will level out.
Yeah, but you're running up at what, 2.6, aren't you? I mean, we used to run 30 sizes at 2,000, no problem at all. So, I mean, and that rotor head should have no problem with it at all. It will run a lot slower than what you're running it at. So, if you think about if there was a resonant frequency that it's trying to hit, that's slightly under what you're running at the moment, you won't have to go too far under that to then get down to sort of head speed that will be fine.
Okay, so maybe instead of raising it till it stops, lower it till it stops.
Yeah, possibly. Also, was there a couple of sets of dampers in the kit when you built it, like a red set and a black set or anything like that?
No, the kit comes with a set of dampers that it's a two-piece set. There's like I can't tell if it's metal or a plastic hard insert, and then inside of that is a rubber insert. Now, I ordered replacement dampers a while back, and then I realized they don't match what I have inside the Heli. It's a two-piece damper, and I wasn't sure about that. And when I go to the Tower Hobbies website, they don't show that in their parts list, so I didn't know how to buy replacements.
Right.
But I definitely would take recommendations on dampers, because I bought replacements, which were the one-piece normal sort of damper, but that's not what's in there now. And I don't know if I could just take out what's in there now and put in the one-piece.
So, two-piece one, so it's sort of like a nylon insert with a couple of grooves, an O-ring in it or something like that, is there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and the insert's fairly kind of tight fit in the head.
Yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time trying to work it out, but it's in there pretty tight. It didn't come out very freely.
Yeah, that's basically what we call it's two-stage damping. So the idea is that rather than having a really, really hard piece of rubber that doesn't give at all, which then gives you really hard damping that then gives you low head speed wobbles and all sorts of nasty stuff, but works really, really well for 3D. So you've got the hard that's good for 3D but doesn't do low RPM very well, and then you've got like soft rubber that has some give in it, but won't do the 3D very well because it's not sort of stopping the rotor head, the blade spindle moving in the head block. Yeah, so it doesn't handle the sharp, crisp sort of cyclic movement very well. The dampers you've got there, the idea is that they're a middle ground, so they have a little bit of movement in them, give you the softness. But then as soon as you start flying the model hard and throwing it around, it hits that hard nylon and then becomes like a really hard damper. So you get the idea is you get the best of both worlds. We used to use them in the nights. It does work quite well. So I don't think it's a damping issue with that in mind.
Okay.
The thing that's giving me inkling that maybe it's a high head thing, you're running 90% on the throttle curve, which sounds pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, it seems high to me, but whenever I actually, whenever I run the battery down low, I mean, I've tried tight belt tension, loose belt tension, tight mesh, looser mesh. I mean, I've kind of tried all the different options to see if there's something there. But at one point, with a fairly less than half left of a pack, I was getting 23 or 2400 head speed, just trying to use an optical tack, sitting on the ground, trying to do it safe. I didn't have anybody to do it while I hover with it, so. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I could try lower.
You're not running it in governor mode, then?
No, I'm not putting in governor mode.
Does the fly wireless controller analyze vibrations for you, or
no?
Not
that I know of. It's an icon.
Might be time to put a Robert on to see what that does.
Yeah, when I spool it up with the even with the main blades on and no tail, I do get some blade movement at RPMs, and then on the way up, the same thing happens, Abe, that we saw before in that video where I spool it up with no blades, where there becomes a part in the RPM range where everything resonates and all of my servos start to move, and then it levels out again as I go higher. It still does that when I'm spooling it up. So
I'm just trying to see what head speed people are running on.
I'm doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think 24 is definitely within the the range. I think we start getting too high around 26-ish, based on what I remember.
I would have said 22, 23, somewhere around there. Probably.
But I know people that are running them at sub 2000s, like 19.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, 20, 22, 23 tops, but.
Actually, I've seen now that you mentioned it, I've seen 550 blades when I was doing my research that would say maximum RPMs 2200. The ones for Thunder Tiger say maximum 2800. I don't know if that's a guide at all. If there are 550 blades that are maximum of 2200, that should tell you that that's a top-end head speed, I would guess.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in the right kind of. Come on, Google, don't fail me now. X50.
Yeah, I'm reading sort of 2, 1. Some people are saying 1900 for some of them as well.
Yeah, I could really, I could try starting out lower. I guess the problem is, chasing this bobble is, almost everybody says, oh, your head speed's too low, so you keep bumping it up higher and higher and higher, and eventually it goes away, but it only goes away for part of the flight, so that doesn't help me out much.
Maybe you could get another pinion one tooth up, see if it makes a difference.
Yeah.
What do you know off the top of your head? What how many teeth the main gear is?
110.
What the pinion is?
I think it's a 12.
Is it how many cells? 6, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm guessing on the 12. Let me see if I can. I think I might have that somewhere quick as a reference.
You know what the motor KV is?
1150. Man, this is a test.
So it says here that the stock pinion's a 10 tooth.
No, I don't think it's a 10.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a 12. That's putting it at 100% throttle up at 2.9. And end of flight 2. Oh, no, that's not far off what you're saying, is it? There's a link in I put in the main chat, by the way, the group chat on Hangouts. That is a head speed calculator. It's quite useful.
Where'd you put it?
It's in the group chat, not in the Hangout chat, but the Hangout chat. You know what I mean? Maybe. Yeah.
I'm not seeing it.
Someone else is seeing it.
Maybe it's trying to make its way across the pond.
What did that do again? So that was... Yeah, no, I think it's probably a tank.
I got nothing, man.
Alright, okay.
But
There it is.
Yeah, I just came up.
Do you not have Hangouts at all? No, the actual Hangouts stuff. Oh no, because you're on a page, aren't you?
Okay, Mr. Mill.
Yeah, quite cool.
oh yeah,
Very useful.
yeah, I use that all the time. Actually, I think I use that to figure out what my rough head speed was to begin with.
Yeah, I'd drop it down to 2 and see what happens down at 2.
All right. That's a definite thought. It's definitely doing whatever I've done. It's behaving differently because you recall before I was having a fairly consistent pulse, and that is gone. And now I only have that sort of an issue, and it's not nearly as well formed as it was before. But it's only at the tail end of the battery. The high end of the battery, it's locked solid. And then I start to experience some of the regular issues with fly barless gains, where I get a little bit of a bobble, after doing a flip, it'll bobble at the tail end of the flip, or something like that, which I could tune out, but definitely the tail was solid. And actually, I have a video, I haven't done anything with it, of a single flight where in the beginning it's solid, and then you see as it gets lower and lower, it starts the tail starts to loosen up a little bit.
Now, is it still doing? Is it a kick or is it a bounce? Definite kind of, a jolt, wasn't it before?
Yeah. Now it's more of a rhythmic pulsing.
Okay.
I don't have any more problems with pulsing, or where I would. There were times when I first started that the tail would kick out 45 degrees, or all that weird stuff. I don't have any of that stuff going on right now. So,
Right.
yeah, it's interesting. It was flying really good when I crashed it. I was at a fresh battery, which is probably why I was too confident. I was playing too much.
I've just remembered somebody was talking about nitro at the beginning and about storage and stuff. With the fuel magnets, you do need to keep a bit of fuel in there. Keep the magnet in the fuel, otherwise they do disintegrate. And it's worth making sure you have a decent filter on it, so that when the fuel magnet does disintegrate, which it will do at some point in the future, to make sure that the gunk doesn't, the foam doesn't go into the carb, because that's just a complete nightmare. Much easier to change a filter that blow a filter out than it is to pull a carburetor off. But I think the most important thing is when you stop the engine is to not stop it with the throttle trim or throttle cut or something like that, but to have a fuel camp on the fuel line so that it runs it dry. And what that does is it stops it leaves the oil in the engine, but it burns off the nasty nitromethane and that sort of stuff. So you just end up with a little bit of residual oil in the motor to keep it from doing anything nasty, but not too much. and also stops you having hydrolock issues as well. So anyway, so
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That's what I should be doing with my lawnmower, is running it dry. Now, the other thing that's unique about the nitros, Raj, I don't know if you've dug into this much, but the difference between throttle cut and throttle hold comes into play, right? Is that?
Yes, it does. Yep, I'm aware of that.
It's not something I've had to deal with as an electric, but one of them. How does that work? What's the distinguisher between that?
When you go into throttle hold, I think it just takes it down to idle. You set it up so it just takes and idles the engine. When you hit throttle cut, it takes it below idle and just kills everything.
Okay.
It cuts it off, basically.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Also, most radios, if the throttle stick, if the throttle isn't at idle, then the throttle cut won't work. But equally, throttle cut is evil. Don't use it. Switch it off. For the reasons I stated earlier.
Yep.
Just throttle hold is fine. Coming back to idle, that's cool. But throttle cut is bad for engines. Don't do it.
Can you do a switch activated, like a servo activated fuel cutoff? They make those so you can remotely disengage the fuel and run it down, or do you have to go manually do that?
I've never seen remote fuel cutoffs. I've always had a fuel clip on the line.
That's pretty high tech.
Simple.
Yep.
It works.
Now, would that be the same if you were like just coming down long enough to refuel and put it back in the air? Would you still cap it off, or would you hit your cut?
Yeah. Especially it's not so much of a problem on the smaller motors, but when you start running 90s and bigger, the starters, if you do have a little bit too much fuel in the motor, then the starter will start and the start train as well. So the one-way bearing and the shaft and the hex and all that sort of stuff all starts getting a bit stressed. So it's by cutting the fuel off, you don't have as much resistance to deal with in the motor as well for starting. And all you do is you unclip the fuel line, spin it over, and that then pulls the fuel in, and then it will just start. As soon as within 3 or 4 seconds of starting, spinning it over, it will start by itself.
Nice.
Nice. It's definitely better.
All right, so here's a question that we've talked about before, but haven't talked about in a while, and that is, does anybody use or have a recommended or preferred source for turnbuckles for linkage rods?
Well, I don't know about for your bird, but for a line, Heli option makes a good turnbuckle for the 550 size. For my 450, I was using the Tarot, and those work pretty well. And I actually like the smaller ones that Tarot make for the 450 because in a crash, they'll snap before they get your servo, just because they're a bit more lightweight. Actually, speaking of the crash, they're pretty small, the Tarot ones.
Yeah, see, I've got the Tarot ones on my 450, and I really like them. And when I was setting up the 550, I was thinking I wish I had turnbuckles, but I know not everybody uses them, and some people I've talked to prefer not to use them. You can get, so my argument was you get sort of infinite adjustability for setting up your blade tracking or your positioning, but the thought that I had, the argument that was provided to me was, you can have up to, maybe a 40-degree angle or cant. So if you've got that on both ends, you can pretty much get anywhere you need to by adjusting maybe, instead of a because you have to go full turns, but instead of going a full turn, going like a quarter turn plus or minus to fine tune. Has anybody heard of that method?
No, I haven't.
I can certainly see the advantage of being able to have that extra, the infinite adjustability. However, I've never had a problem tracking a model in. So,
yeah,
I've never needed it either. Never needed the turnbuckles. They have them on the Goblin, but all my other models, I've always managed to get where I want with just normal links.
So I get where I want, but I feel like it takes me more work than if I just put the turnbuckle on and then just spin it till it goes to where it needs to be, and then I'm done.
I agree. That's what I use.
Yeah. Especially on smaller buildings, it's a lot more convenient.
I'm just not sure I like the idea of being able to, the links being able to change length and twist over time without you kind of knowing about it. Whereas it can't happen with a normal link because it can't. Whereas with a turnbuckle, you could get some movement. If your links get a bit sloppy because you've been adjusting it too much or something over time, you could end up with it.
That's a fair point. I haven't heard that one yet.
I don't know if it happens. It's just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Dave, what were you saying?
Oh, I see. I agree. I use the turnbuckle ones, and I use the heli option. And I mean, my experience has been that they thread in pretty tight. I've actually, when they're brand new, sometimes I have to hold them on the link balls. Otherwise, when you twist them, at some point they pop off. I mean, they're snug, so I don't really see them actually unthreading it at any point. And if they ever did get, loose enough to where I thought that might happen, I'd just replace them. I like the idea of just, it's really easy to just dial it in exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah. Of course, the reality of it is, once you get it dialed in, you pretty much leave it alone anyway. But
right.
It felt like it was so much easier with the turnbuckles, because I feel like I have to finesse it more, and the other problem that I don't like necessarily is on the 550 on the Raptor, the elevator servo to swash, that link is fixed. That's not even a link. It's a triangle, a plastic triangle. So it's fixed. So that becomes my reference point that everything else has to work off of. And sometimes a bump, one direction or the other on, like, say, the icon is too much. And I find myself kind of playing around with, maybe lowering the elevator one just a little bit so that I can bring the others where they need to be, because if I just set the elevator one first, then the other ones don't quite match it, and there's no way to adjust that one. And just seems like just a little bit of a tweak would solve a lot of problems.
It actually brings up an interesting question. I'd be curious to know, do you guys, or you set up your heli and you're out flying it, you're not crashing, you're not even having any hard landings. How often, or do you even go back and check your setup, see if things are the same? Do you ever, go back and just double check things as far as your pitches and making sure you're,
I check the zero occasionally. I can normally feel if the zero's out personally, because the balance between inverted and right way up feels wrong. But generally, if it's flying a bit funky, then I'll start having a look at things. But other than that, no, not really.
Okay.
Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm probably not the best person to give that kind of advice, but I never check it unless I have a problem. So once I get it flying right, I'll crash it before anything goes out of adjustment.
Yeah, that's I pretty much do the same thing, so I'm in good company.
Yeah, I very rarely wear out parts before I need to replace them anyway.
I just checked my warp this week because I changed it over from Icon to a Beast X because I took the Icon off it to put in my Goblin. That's the first time I've checked it since I built it a year and a half ago because I haven't crashed it in a year and a half, so I haven't had to do anything to it. So.
You're not trying hard enough.
That's what I say. That's a pretty good record, Lee.
Yeah, well, actually, in the last 2 years, I've only had one crash, and that was my 600 because a link broke.
Oh yeah, blame it on something else too.
Yeah.
Definitely flying too high. You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Oh, I was off the deck today with doing pyro flips, so pretty low. I almost put it in today. It was very close.
Yeah, that's my problem is that I hear that all the time. Fly at 2 or 3 mistakes high, but to be honest, when I'm flying, I'm pretty low to the ground. I mean, sometimes I'm a few feet off the ground and doing hard, fast turns, or I just like flying low to the ground.
Sometimes it's harder to see the orientation if you're too high.
Yeah,
so you put yourself 3 mistakes high, and you're like, "Oh, which way is it facing?" Or you can't because it's up in blue sky. You've not got the horizon to sort of give you sort of some reference to it.
Yeah, I think that's my problem. Why I end up getting lower and lower as I fly because the perspective I get at eye level is a more clean perspective of the orientation as opposed to up above. So when I'm flying up above, I have a hard time gauging elevator orientation.
Right.
If I'm a little bit tail, high or tail low, I have to rely on the direction of the heli because of looking up. I can't gauge that very well. I can gauge left to right rotation, but I can't gauge the elevator side of it as well. But when I bring it down, I can see the disc and tell if it's level or not. And I think that's probably why I naturally bring it lower.
It probably comes from being on a simulator as well, because nobody puts their helicopter high up in the air when on a simulator. They've always got it low down, so as soon as they go out on the real thing, they do the same thing.
That could be.
That's a good point.
I was literally about to say that.
Great minds think alike, Gabe.
So what I hear from you guys is the simulators are causing us to crash.
That's it. They're bad things.
That's it. They're horrible.
I actually don't use the simulator very much at all. I do all my training in real life. I take the helicopter high up. When I started to do pyro flips, I would take it high up and do them there. And if I made any mistakes, I had time to recover. But I found, I think I just initially used the simulator just to get the mechanics of it. And then after that, I go straight on to using my real helicopters.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to do it, especially if you can start high like that. I found the simulator came in most handy for me to understand. And what I'm working on now is that handoff between positive and negative, where I'm not banging the sticks. When I first started doing, let's say a flip, a backflip or whatever. My impression of how to achieve that was just give it full, full backwards elevator, and then just power through it. And collective, I wasn't managing the collective side. I was forcing it through with the cyclics. Same thing with a roll. I wasn't leveraging the negative collective to catch it and then back to positive to flip it. I was literally forcing it through with the cyclics, but it was the nano, not the nano. What do I have? The MCPX. It was the MCPX that is still resting in peace in the basement somewhere. That taught me that I was doing it wrong because the tail would blow out on me constantly. I mean, every time I tried to do anything, the tail would blow out. And it's because I wasn't managing my collective. And I learned with that how to manage the collective. And then I took it to the simulator and started practicing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get this little handoff feel that that I needed the simulator to be able to do before I went to the big heli for real. But once I got it, now I can just take it up high and just kind of practice that feel. But I still can't. I can't take it up 3 mistakes high and fly forward flight. Like even a figure 8 pattern, I can't fly it up high. I have to bring it down low to fly like that. I just can't do it.
Okay, I think I know why you crashed.
Let's hear it.
It's a really, 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 really common mistake that almost everybody makes. There's 2 ways of doing a turn, and it depends on how fast you're going. What a lot of people tend to do is they'll come whopping past themselves at however fast they feel like going, and then they'll get to the right-hand side, and then there'll be a bag load of aileron and a bag load of rudder, and the thing will do kind of like a handbrake turn at the end, and then they'll fly back the other way. So it's a very rudder-heavy turn, which gets the job done, but it looks a bit meh.
Yeah, well, I try not to do that when I sim, so I'm definitely aware of that technique, because that's the default was go as far as you can go until you feel like you're too far away and find a way to hurry up and turn around and bring it back to you, which is not a coordinated turn.
Now,
but in a panic mode, that might be what happens.
The opposite of this, which is equally as bad and actually a lot more catastrophic, is that you're trying to do a coordinated turn. So you go down to the right-hand end. You're going to do a left-hand turn, so you're going to turn away from yourself, and you roll it in. So you put a bit of left aileron in to roll it over to say 45 degrees, and you pull back on the elevator to put it round the turn like a bank and yank like you would do on a plane, and you kind of forget about the rudder accidentally. And what happens then? The model then rolls in because the tail then starts to drop and get low, and then the model will roll in and then fall sideways into the ground.
Right.
Okay, and I think that's probably what happened. You have to get if you get the rudder just about spot on perfect, then the tail boom will stay horizontal to the horizon, stay straight to the horizon, and then the angular bank will stay the same. But if you use too much rudder, it'll level out and then sort of swing round and face you and stop. If you don't use enough, then it will roll in and fall out the sky sideways. And I think that's what you did. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you saw the picture.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened though.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either. I told you everything I know. But yeah, I mean, it was literally coming out of a turn, going way too fast in the wrong direction, and way too low to the ground. So yeah.
I think it's probably you let the tail up and it went, because that happens really fast. It can fall out of the sky so fast like that.
Yeah. If I'd have known what it was going to do, I probably could have prevented it. But it happened like instantly. I was just flying, and then all of a sudden I wasn't, and all I knew is throttle hold.
On the simulator, try doing circles in front of yourself. So reasonably fast, about 45 degrees of bank, and then play with the rudder. And what you'll find is if you're using too much rudder, then you have to hold some aileron in to keep it into the turn. And if you're not using enough, then the tail will drop, and you're having to use some aileron to keep it to stop it from rolling into the turn. So you have a play with it, and you'll see what I mean, and you'll see very, very quickly what looks good and what doesn't look good.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm struggling right now. Is I'd like to be able to do some nice, clean, tight circles right in front of me, and I can do one, but by the time I go into that second one, it starts to fall apart, and I just can't keep it going.
One of the other tricks is to not be going too slowly.
Right.
There's a difficult speed where you're kind of not quite hovering, but you're not quite in full-on bank and yank forward flight. And those sort of medium speed circles, sort of relatively flat bank, maybe 20, 25 degrees of bank, they are really, really difficult to get right because any wrong input on the aileron or the elevator or the rudder will end up with the thing stopping in front of you.
Yeah,
So,
I do find that on the sim, I end up going fast, and I intentionally try and slow it down, and maybe I'm going too slow when I'm trying that as well, where it's almost like it almost ends up being a hover with some movement to it as opposed to a clean circle.
yeah.
But if I start, it doesn't take very much. I pitch the nose down just a little bit, and pretty soon I'm like, I'm trying to reel it back in, and it's just getting further and further out of control.
In a circle, once you get above that hovery, nasty, horrible hovery thing, then the collective becomes your speed control. So the more collective you use, if for the same size of circle, the more collective you use, the faster it will go. So if you are finding yourself in a circle going quicker and quicker and quicker, then just crack the collective back just a fraction, and then maintain the size of the circle, and it will slow down.
Interesting, because I think in that regard, I tend to think of the elevator as being my speed control, where if I bring the nose back up level, I'll slow it down.
Below that critical speed where it turns from a hovering circuit into a forward flight circuit, below that point, yes, elevator is your speed control. Above that point, no, it's all in collective.
Interesting. I'll have to play with that.
Yeah, get over play on simulator and you'll see exactly what I mean. You'll suddenly realise what's going on. It's just like bang, and then suddenly you'll be doing these nice, smooth, really, really nice circles in front of yourself, and you'll be like, oh right, well that's how that works then.
I've practiced those before too, and mine the circle gets tighter. It gets so much tighter, and then you just gotta, like you said, I should probably switch it up with the collective, but I usually just get out and go on to something else.
If the circle's getting tighter, what's probably happening there is you've got too much angle of bank on, and then you're using the elevator to stop it from falling, and that will tighten the circle up. If you flatten the bank off, then you won't have to use as much elevator to pull it round the turn. So then the circle won't tighten up.
Well, by the time I get to that point, there's no more angle. I'm straight on the side.
Yeah, that's it. You've got too much angle of bank on for the speed you're going.
Basically, the smaller the circle, the more elevator you use, and the bigger the circle, the more collective you use to keep it at the same angle, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can use lots of collective and lots of elevator and lots of angle of bank, and end up doing really, really small circles in front of yourself, really, really fast. But
then we call that a funnel, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's more of a hurricane, but
hurricane.
Yeah. But it's all about the balancing act between how fast you're going, how much angle of bank you want to use. Okay, let's tie this in. So your collectivity is speed control. Your angle of bank is the size of the circle control, and then the collective, then sort of the balance between. Start again. Collectivity is speed. Angle of bank is the size of the circle, right? And then the elevator maintains the height for that angle of bank. And then the rudder maintains the angle of bank. That make sense?
It does, yeah.
Clear as mud.
It's going to make sense when I go get in front of my simulator again. Right now, it just blew my head open. I'm like...
No, I get it, and it's a juggling act.
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture what my thumb's supposed to be doing.
So, to start, if you get the start of the turn right, then the rest will come through. So if you just what I recommend you do is from the angle from the side that you're most comfortable with, either left or from the right. So I'm going to say from the left. Okay, so you come from the left down the flight line, and then as you come past yourself, you just push a little bit of left aileron in to bank it over to about 30 degrees. Okay, that entry speed is the speed you want to maintain all the way through. Don't go too slow and don't go too fast. So, a fair bit over hover, but nowhere near full collective. Okay, so bank it in to about 30 degrees with the aileron, and then start pushing a little bit of elevator and a little bit of rudder in. Now, if you just hold those where they are, it's going to do one of three things. If you've got not enough rudder in, then the tail will drop, and you'll see the tail drop below the horizon, and then it will roll in and fall out of the sky. If you use too much rudder, then what will happen is that it'll come round and level out and look at you, and then end up nose in, hovering. Because what happens is that too much rudder will then the elevator then flattens out the blank because you've got too much rudder in, and then it just turns around and looks at you and stops. So that's too much rudder or not enough rudder. Then the elevator is you just use just enough to maintain the height. So if you don't use enough, then it will start to fall. If you use too much, it will start to climb. And it's just a balance of those three.
Just remember, rudder, too much is better than too little.
Yeah.
Yeah, says my 550.
Allegedly.
Also, I find that people, when they start to bank into the turn, is they get the bank in, but then they sometimes try to turn by banking further. So they're using the wrong input, and the bank just gets steeper and steeper until they slide out of the sky. So you've just got to remember that the aileron, you bank it over to the angle you want, and then from there it's mostly the elevator to put it around. So it is not to try to turn the corner by just tipping it further and further over on its side.
Yes, I've had that.
Yeah, the elevator is the thing that's actually doing the turning. Everything else is just balancing.
Yeah, I think where I get screwed up is trying to manage the collective, to keep it straight, either from climbing or descending, and eventually I just lose the coordination, and I have to come out of the turn completely because I just can't maintain a good, clean, steady altitude. It either, coming out of a turn, it wants a balloon up in the sky on me, or if I'm not careful with it, it'll want to drop.
Yeah, the collective is not your height control.
Right.
If you're going fast enough. It's the elevator is your height control.
I'll have to play with that a little bit.
When you're coming out of the turn, if you've done a circuit, say, I wouldn't worry too much about the exit for now. Just concentrate on getting a circle nice.
Right.
But this is the same is true for loops. Remember that when you went into the circuit, you had a bit of nose down attitude, give you the forward speed. Now, what a lot of people do is when they come out of a loop or out of a circle, is they will level the model off, and it'll end up coming out flat. And of course, all that collective is then making it go up. And you see it all the time. Especially, it's more common to see it with loops. They'll come out the bottom of the loop, and it will go round again. It will start going round again, rather than coming out flat and going straight. So that's a sort of watch the attitude on the way out, but concentrate on getting the circles first. Don't worry about coming out tidily until you can do it nicely. Because once you can do it nicely, then the rest will just follow.
Yeah, I think the wind complicates it for me too, because you're going downwind one way, and as you come around the backside, you're going upwind, and
Well, what you would do. Okay, I am going to explain this. I was just wondering about information overload then for a second. But
Hey, don't worry about that because I get to rewatch this later on, and I'll watch it till I get it. So just keep talking.
okay, right. So say if you've got the wind coming from the left, okay, and you're doing a left-hand circle in front of yourself. On the downwind side of the circle, so on the right, so you're on the right hand, so the model is on your right hand side. It's gonna, on the way through, as it comes past you, it's going to be having more ground speed, so you need to tighten the circle up there. Okay, you need to tighten that.
You need to tighten your angle of bank.
Yeah, so you need to roll it in more and pull a little bit harder. Okay?
Okay.
And then on the upwind side, you need to flatten it out a little bit and ease off the elevator, and then that extends the circle upwind, and then tighten it back up again as you come back round towards yourself. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But choose a nice calmish day to be doing your circles on to start with, and it'll. Yes, it probably will drift off downwind slowly, but just concentrate on keeping the sticks and just doing tiny, tiny little adjustments. No, a circle, a really nice circle, is just like hovering in terms of the inputs you're putting in. Really tiny little inputs, little adjustments.
Yeah.
And it'll come right. It's just that balancing act.
When a helicopter is in straight and level flight, you've got your vertical component of lift, which is keeping the aircraft from falling out of the sky. When you bank the aircraft, some of that lift banks with it, and when you bank, when that lift goes into the bank, you have to add a little bit of elevator to compensate for that loss of vertical lift, which is what brings you around in the circle.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why when you're going downwind, the wind is going to try to extend your turn, and you have to steepen the angle of bank in order to get it around quicker. And when you're going into the wind or upwind, you have to flatten the bank out because you want to turn a little bit slower.
Right.
It's kind of pushing you backwards, if you will. And when you start in your turn, you add a little bit of elevator, which keeps the nose up. Well, you also have to add some power, otherwise the nose will continue to drop, and then you'll get into what they call a slip, and you'll just slip right out of the sky.
Right.
Now, if you add too much, you'll go into a skid, and you'll skid out the other side of the turn, and that's when it kind of spins around and comes back and looks at you.
Right.
It's a number of times I've seen that sort of. Someone's come to me and said, "I just can't get the circle right. Every time I try and do a circle, it just." And you say, "Well, okay, well, just show me what's going on." And it's just so obvious they're using too much rudder because it literally does. It does about a third of a circle, and by the time it gets to a third of the circle, it just stops and looking at them, and they're like, "I'm nose-in hovering, but I don't want to do a nose-in hover. I want to do another circle."
It's all physics, right?
Pick the right way to do it wrong, then.
Yeah, it's just it's very, very easy to get into the situation of going, right, well, I want to turn, therefore I'm going to use lots of rudder. But if you've ever flown fixed wing, you'll know that using rudder to do turns doesn't make it turn.
No, it yaws the nose. And the same thing with a helicopter. When you use rudder, all it does is yaw the nose. Okay? So if you want to turn, you have to bank the aircraft so that you get that angle component of lift, and it brings you around in the turn. And the rudder is what keeps the aircraft from falling out of the sky or slipping it or skidding into the turn.
So there's a difference then, I guess, based on what you guys are saying, between rotating the heli and turning the heli.
Yes.
Rotating is yawing the helicopter,
Right.
and turning, you bank it.
It's bank and yank versus a rudder turn. If you know the way a articulated lorry or HGV or whatever you guys call it over there, I can't remember. You know the way when an articulated lorry goes around a corner, the back wheels take a much shorter. They cut the corner, don't they? Yeah, the back of the lorry
Right.
takes a shorter route. What you're doing with the rudder is you're basically giving this lorry four-wheel steering to keep that tail from cutting the corner off.
Right.
Yeah, you want to keep that tail right behind the nose, all the way around the turn.
Right. Yeah, I've once upon a time I used to do a lot of hang gliding and I flew sailplanes, so I have pretty good understanding of aerodynamics and how to fly.
It's exactly the same as a bank and yank turn.
Yeah.
Big glider. I used to fly slopes quite a lot when I was a kid. Big 3 meter carbon fiber stuff. Great fun.
Cool.
But yeah, so it's just about the rudder is about it's just a balancing act. It's not used to turn it. It's just used to keep the model straight.
Cool.
Awesome.
I wonder what would happen if you were, flying straight and level, and you jammed as much aileron as you could and pulled back as tight as you could on an elevator. How fast it would come around.
Very.
Just think of the G load if you did that.
It's a lot. Oh, you only have to watch any 3D pilot fly to go. Yeah, that's quite a lot of G.
Yeah.
They do what 70, 80 mile an hour to zero, kind of like that, just instantly. Yep. That's a lot of stopping force.
It's amazing. That's why we like doing this stuff.
What do they call those when they do them on an airplane? It's you pull back on the elevator and full aileron. It's the special type of roll.
With the snap roll?
Snap roll, that's it. Yeah, it's just basically like a snap roll. I've been trying to do those with the helicopter the last few flights.
Banks need some rudder in as well. You need to get the rudder, get a little bit of rudder in.
Yeah, I have to do rudder as well. But yeah, I'm trying to get it where you're going along and you're sort of doing them and continuing at the same altitude all the way along.
Yeah, that would be fairly tricky.
Chris, did you figure out what charger you were going to get?
No, I have not yet. I haven't bought anything. I looked at the Hobby King, the Turnigy charger, that 1000 that the RC, the Rotor Show did a review on. And
I saw you mentioned that,
yeah, I mean, that looks like a good charger, and I'm all about going budget if it's decent. I just haven't made a decision yet. There's a part of me that wants to just go ahead and do it because you can get that in a power supply for just a few $100. And if it meets all of my needs, then it seems like that's all I need. But I don't know.
Well, I tell you, the Lee over at RChelp.com, he was one of the guys that helped me build that power supply of mine. And I've got less than $200 in the setup, so it's awesome. I think Lee actually, he didn't build his power supply. I think there's a place in the UK he ordered his from, but it's the same thing. I mean, the guy's putting together computer power supplies, and we're using them for chargers. But
yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. That's it.
Cool, ice.
You can pick up, a good server power supply, a couple of them for $30 off eBay.
I got 20.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running. To be fair, I'm running a 800-watt gaming system power supply, but
That's only 12 volts, though, isn't it?
Yeah, 12 volts. So that's the problem is I'm not able. I think the chargers that I need that I would like to run, I need 24 to 36 volts to get enough
To get that amperage
amps
out.
out of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I have to do something.
Power supply I'm running is like 1,700 watts. It's out of a server.
That's what mine is too.
This one's 2,400.
Yeah, they just keep getting smaller.
That's
Yeah,
great.
this. I mean, I didn't want to make mine myself, so I got this from a guy called Ian from Cool Ice, and he puts them together for you. Pretty reasonable price, and there's some people talking about putting the two power supplies together, and if one shuts down, that it can send a spike through to your charger and damage it. But what he's done, he's got a little circuit inside, which if it does decide that it's going to shut down for some reason, it won't allow one to shut down. It'll shut down both together, so you won't get that voltage or sort of current spike going through to your charger. So that's a really good little circuit in there.
Yeah, some of the server supplies, you can look at them, but a lot of them have that kind of stuff built into it. That's one of the reasons why I went with the server supply that I did, is it's fully protected.
Is that just a single one?
It's a single supply.
Yeah.
It's a beast. It's a monster.
The thing is, if the charger's been designed properly, it will have protection in there for spikes and stuff anyway. So I think there may be a little bit of paranoia involved in that.
I think it was just related to the eye chargers, which I've heard. I think that the power labs seem to be okay, but I've got an eye charger, so I thought I'm not going to take the risk. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cool Ice right now. I mean, granted, they're in the UK, so I don't know if that would work for me. It might be cost prohibitive, but...
Well, there's a guy in the States who does it as well.
Okay.
I don't think he does the same little circuit board in between, but he makes the packs up like that. So if, I can't remember. I spoke to him, but I can't remember what his name is now. But
it's very easy to do it.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do on your own.
Yeah, just isolate the ground in one of the units and you're good to go.
Yeah. There's tons of write-ups on HeliFreak and other forums on...
Our RC Groups has a wonderful couple of threads on how to do that.
Yeah, I was just curious if you decided what you were going to get.
No, not yet. I'm hitting the Hobby King website to see how much their 1,000-watt power supply was. Just to see if it's even, from a cost perspective, sometimes it just makes sense to buy something, but...
Are you going to do parallel charging, or are you just going to do single charge?
Parallel. Probably parallel.
You got to do parallel. Once you can do it, you'll never go back.
Yeah, I've got a pair board too for the XT60s and the 4mm bullets that I use for the 500 and 550. So...
yeah, once you can throw all your 6S batteries on there and have them charged up in less than 30 minutes, you'll... Yeah.
That's sweet, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I really like my charger now, and I wish I could find another charger like it that could charge simultaneously. But I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about this before, but I've got a charger. I've got a charger with a separate like charge nanny sort of a thing that connects to it. And you plug in, let's see, up to 8 batteries, any size. The only catch is they all have to be, you want to charge, so they all need to be LiPos, and you want to charge them all to the same level. So if I want to fully charge to 4.2 volts, but I can plug in a 6S in one port, a 3S in the other port, a 2S, another 6S, 2 6S's, and I can have them all hanging off this thing. It'll go through and query each port individually, and then it will charge them one at a time based on whatever that battery is, however many cells are on that port. So the downside of that is it only charges one at a time. So it'll charge one. When that one's done, it'll go charge the next one. And when that one's done, it goes, okay, I'm done. And then it goes into this wait mode. And it literally hot swap. You pull out a battery, you plug in another one, it goes, hey, I got a battery charge, and it starts charging it. So that's really cool because I can just go in and plug in a battery when I run it down, and it will just take over when it gets done with the next one. and I just keep adding batteries whenever I want. It doesn't matter what size they are. The problem is I'm limited. It will only charge by the balance ports, which means my amperage is limited to what those balance ports can handle, and that's not a whole lot of amperage. We're talking, you know, we're I don't even know what, but it's not much. So they end up charging. It takes several hours to charge, you know, a big 6S battery, and that's, you know, nowadays. Before I was okay with that because I would probably fly, you know, a couple packs and then go to work, and then, you know, the next day I'll charge up some more and then fly a couple packs. But now I want to fly a couple packs a couple times, and it's like, uh-oh, now I'm waiting on batteries to charge, and that's starting to irritate me. So.
Yeah, no, that would irritate me. But the hell about, I mean, I can only single charge on mine, but I can do it at 10 amps on a power supply. And even that is annoying when I'm at the field because I can only charge one at once. So I'm limited to, once I've burnt through my first 4 packs, which is all I've got. I've only got 4 packs. Once I've burnt through those, I'm limited to one flight every 30 minutes, which is a bit annoying.
Yeah. I typically charge my batteries at 2S rate, 2 times rate. So that cuts down the time as well.
Yeah, I was charged at 2S.
You know, I'll parallel. I'll be charging 4 batteries at a 2S rate, and it takes about 30 minutes to charge 4 of them.
I've got the iCharger 308 Duo.
That's a nice charger.
Yeah, it's really nice. I like it.
Yeah, I've got a 306B. Yeah. And that does a nice job too. But the 308 is really sweet.
Yeah, so I've got 2 ports, so I can charge up two sets of batteries. Yeah. I've got my power boards as well, so which I put little extension pigtails on because they're difficult to unplug when they're right inside the board. But the thing I like about this as well is it's got servo testing on it. So when I was checking out the Goblin, I plugged in each of the servos and did a test. Tells you the speed of them, frequency, and everything.
Does it allow you to center the servos as well?
Yeah, you center the servos and it will show you the movement of it. You can put it through a cycle of movements, so you can tell it to cycle through 50, 60 times, whatever you want. And so obviously you're going to see if it's going to fail. It's going to fail in the first, the first hour or so. So by the time you put it on the helicopter, you're pretty sure it's working. So, and yeah, it's got a memory card in the back, so you can store lots of stuff. USB ports. Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Does the USB port allow you to import charge data into your computer so that you can analyze?
I'm not sure. Not sure what it does. I haven't used it yet.
So what do you guys? I've just come up against something I haven't actually even had a chance to look it up yet, but I finally have 2 lipos I need to dispose of. So how are we disposing of lipos these days?
You watched one of my videos to see how I do it.
I was about to say, Lee's the king on that one.
I put a bullet through one of mine.
I thought about doing that.
Yeah, it really didn't do anything. I was expecting it to burst into flame, but it just kind of laid there and stared back at me with a bullet hole in it.
Yeah, I have a couple packs.
Then I just threw it away.
I attach the positive to the negative and just watch it go boom.
Boom.
Really?
That's the way to do it.
I had 6 packs which I had to get rid of just before I came back to Spain. So I did a little video of me stabbing them with screwdrivers and all the things you're not supposed to do. And
what did you do with it after it was discharged?
Once I left them, putting the 2 wires together, I just left them like that. So obviously I was going to discharge them pretty quickly. And then once they had completely destroyed themselves, I did throw them in a bucket of water and left them there for a few days as well. And
so
then,
what was the final? Where did you put them after that?
We've got places to deposit batteries and stuff like that, like your recycling places.
Okay.
So.
I've still got mine. It's I kind of threw it away, but it's still hanging around the house. I don't know for sure what to do with it.
I've gone to people's houses around here that if they didn't know what they were doing, they've just bought an airplane or a helicopter, and they had this battery, and it's been sat in a cupboard somewhere for 3 or 4 years, and I've gone into their house and found this thing like round like this, and thought, oh, you should take that out of there.
We're looking at Lee's mastery here.
That's cool.
How come I can't see that?
You have to click on the YouTube app in the sidebar.
Will that show up in the Heli Hangout when it's uploaded?
I don't think it shows up in the final product.
Okay.
Yeah, grab the go over to the left side and look at the YouTube link.
I'm not sure that'll work on the iPad.
Oh, that's true. He's on the iPad. Anyway, I'll post the.
I don't think I can get at it. Oh.
So just paste it into the chat.
Am I still here? Or am I gone?
There's a link in chat for you.
Oh yeah, I've got it to work now.
I just like watching this over and over again.
The best one I didn't get on film. The best one was the first one I did. It was a 3,300 milliamp 6S, and that shot a rocket flame out of it. It was great.
Are they nanotech?
Yeah, I think the first 6S packs I got for my walk were nanotech ones, but they were dead after about 100 cycles. I'm using Gen's Ace now, much better.
Yeah, and I've got a nanotech one that was given to me a while back because it's poo, and it really is poo. It's my X5 is pretty well powered. It's got way more power than say like a 50 of the old days had. But this nanotech pack it's like a worn out rattling 30. It's awful. It's got no power at all.
Yeah, I don't think I'll buy any more. I think the ordinary Turnigies I've had were much better than the nanotech.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot from people as well.
Yeah, I had the 30C standard Turnigy batteries on my Trex 500 when I had it, and they went on for ages. I was using them for a couple of years, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I have on my 450, and they've been going for almost 3 years now.
Yeah, I had dreadful luck with the nanotechs. Just dreadful.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a couple guys around here, that they just had nothing but problems. They'd swell and balloon up in no time.
Yep. I've got a Sky Lipo that's been going for 2 years now.
But, I'm thinking about trying those glaciers next.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, but those Rev Electrics now also have my attention, especially for the price point.
Are they a good price? Because there's a couple of guys around here that swear by those. But I assume
$65 the ones I got.
Yeah, I'm looking at actually I have some up a 4,500 milliamp 6S 30C for $72. Packs made fresh same day as your shipment.
Oh, really?
That's decent.
Yeah, anything 80 to $100 for decent 6S packs have my attention.
I think they're doing in the US store. They're doing a special for 4 packs. And I think it worked out about for 6S 3,300s or something. No, I think it was 6S 4,400s, about $80 each for 4 packs.
And of course, their chargers are fairly well regarded. So
yeah.
Yeah, I've got a 10S that's still going strong after 6 years.
Ridiculous. Do you know the difference between the different labels, Lee? Like there's the red label, black label, platinum label, diamond, silver.
Yeah, I think well, it says there's how good they are. I think the platinum is the middle one. What was the other ones they had?
I'm just looking at the list on their website. It's red, black, platinum, diamond, silver.
Yeah, I think it's to do with the C rating and the discharge rating. So one of the red ones or whatever, I can't remember the colors.
Okay, all right. So like black label, I pulled up a document for black label. It says 30C continuous 80C pulse. So that means all the blacks are probably 30Cs and all the platinums are 40Cs.
Yeah, that's right. And now they've just released a new one, which is an HV battery, which I haven't read a lot about it, but apparently it's like more than 4.2 volts per cell.
Yeah, here is silver HV 4.27 lipo, maybe?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's a 70C continuous, 140C pulse, 2C charge rate.
What's the duration of the pulse? Did they tell you?
I don't see that on these specs. Yeah, I don't see on here. But anyway, yeah, I don't see the prices on here either for those, but yeah, I'm definitely going to look at those. So glaciers were where I was going to go next, but now I might take a look at these just before. I need to buy some batteries for my my hexacopter. Now that that's up and running, well, not up and running, but the build is progressing, and I'm looking for some batteries for it. So I might check those out.
Yeah. Are you happy with the Taro platform?
For the multi-rotor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so far, I mean, I really like the frame, and you know, I've got no complaints. I mean, that's the only thing Taro that is on it is the just the frame.
Okay.
But it makes sense. I like the way it folds. It's got the you know, collapsible landing gear. Seems to work okay. It's got the integrated PCB, which is nice. Cuts down on running wires and harnesses around. So.
The collapsible landing gear, could you adapt that to be retractable?
Yes, and some people have done that.
Okay. Yeah, one of the guys I fly with just bought a DJI S1000. You should see that thing. It's huge. And boy, does it fly nice.
Nice.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. So hopefully...
You need a second mortgage on your house to get it.
Well, it's somebody else's problem.
Yeah. But they are expensive.
I got my quadcopter back up and flying again after a long time. I've had a lot of problems with it falling out the sky, just motors cutting out, and couldn't figure out what it was. Stripped everything off it that was unnecessary. Still doing it. Changed the board, changed the cables, couldn't figure it out, but then suddenly it just stopped doing it, and I've flown about 20 batteries in it, and it's not doing it anymore, so a bit scary.
What kind is it?
It's a QAV 500.
Okay.
So you're just waiting for when it's going to happen again, huh?
Yeah, it's like one of those things where I hate where, you know, I've looked at absolutely everything on it. The only I mean, I don't know. I had a cable on that I changed with another one, but yeah, it's just stopped doing it. So you don't know what it was. So yeah, it's just Russian roulette, waiting to see if it happens again. And I don't want to stick my expensive gimbal gear back on it and then fall out of the sky. But I had about 20 batteries so far, and it's been okay now.
I was having that problem with my tricopter. Very intermittent. And then I thought I figured it out. I found a loose capacitor lead on one of the ESCs, so I soldered it back on, and I probably had 20 flights out of it, not a problem. So I felt reasonably comfortable, so I put my GoPro back on it, had it about 40 feet in the air, motor shuts out, and it just falls like a brick. Thankfully, my GoPro survived.
They're pretty tough.
And I was surprised that the tricopter survived, but I mean it broke every single prop was shattered on it. But all I had to do is replace the props, and I had the motors are zip tied, so the zip ties just popped loose, and the motors it landed in the ground on the heat. But when I got it home, and I didn't even want to look at it at first. I threw it in a box in the garage, and I said, someday maybe. I've had enough of that for a while. But this last week, I dug it out, and I was really surprised. I mounted the motors back on, put props back on it, and it's perfectly flyable again. But again, I've replaced everything except the flight controller and the ESCs.
So one of the things, mine originally had some problems with ESCs overheating when I had them in between the body panels. But once I got those out, I still had some randomness. And what I ended up finding is I had a cold solder joint on one of the motor wires, and that was randomly causing me problems. Where for a while it would fly fine, and then all of a sudden it would glitch. And I'm assuming that's what it is because I resoldered. Once I figured out. I moved the motor from the right front to the left, and then it glitched on the left. So I'm like, it's following that motor. So I pulled all of those bullets, resoldered them, and it's never done it again. So I think I might have just had a cold joint there that every once in a while would just lose a connection enough to give me a hiccup.
I've taken away that failure point by I have my motor wires are soldered straight to the pads on the ESC. I don't have the wires from the ESC or nothing. They're just the motor wires go straight to the board.
Yeah, that's the best way is eliminate all those little junctions because if you think about it, just between a motor and the ESC, you've got 6 points of failure. Three on each bullet. Female and male side, where you could have a problem.
Right.
What did you guys?
And don't forget the connections on the other end of the wires too.
Yeah.
Yeah, those could fail.
Now when mine fails, what happens is that one motor shuts off, and it's completely random as to which motor it'll be. Could be number one, number two, number three. 80% of the time it's motor number one, but the other 20% of the time it could be motor number two, could be motor number three.
That sounds like a KK board or something.
Right, that's what I'm at the point where I'm thinking about just replacing the KK board.
If it's happening on different bases, it must be the controller.
Because if it was, I just can't imagine it. I have 3 intermittently bad ESCs at the same time, so.
I changed control boards on mine, so I had 2 different control boards. But I think the first one was KK2, and my second one is an open pilot board. The first time I fell out of the sky was with KK2, so I didn't think it was anything to do with the flight controller. I think you can see one of my YouTube videos. It's white flying over the white horse raw footage, and it falls from about 200 feet. It's quite good because the quadcopter, the QAV is 2 separate parts. You have the upper section, and then you have the damping vibration mount, and they ripped apart. And where the camera and the top part of the quad landed was facing the bottom part, and just 2 of the legs are stuck straight into the mud up on its side. It's got a perfect shot. It took us about 15 minutes to go and get it because it's about a kilometer away.
I don't think I've ever really had a malfunction with mine. I've had a couple of dumb thumbs with it, but I don't think I've ever had an equipment failure with mine to cause it to fall from the sky.
Yeah, they have the new KK board out, so if they're in stock, I may just try to order one and
I'm running the Quadrino Zoom on mine, and it's a multi-Wii type board, and it seems to be doing okay. Thinking about changing to NASA just for grins and giggles.
Yeah, that's another thing I thought about doing. And instead of buying another KK, maybe go with a multi-Wii. I want to get because there's it's a lot more capability with it. A little bit steeper learning curve, but
Just try one of those new NAS 32 boards. They're based on the multi-Wii. And I was watching Bruce on RC Model Reviews. He has been testing them and said they're really good.
I haven't watched that video yet.
What did you guys think of the Invertix? Did you see that?
I did. I
Yeah,
saw
I'd love to have a go with it. Send it down to Spain. I'll try it.
I'm struggling to get my hands on the one that we've got.
I don't think Nick's going to let it out of his hand.
Oh no, he hasn't got any choice. Sunday, I'm stealing it from him
Okay.
and rebinding the receiver, the satellite to a handy Spectrum 7 and DX7, and then I'm going to go and fly it because he's mode 1, so it's like he flies weird mode, so you have to rebind it.
Yeah.
When you finish with it, send it down here.
No chance. Have you heard the videos of it flying? The first one obviously was the initial teaser, but there was a second video that he released. Was it Carl Dahl flying it? I think.
Yeah, with the squeak of the motors as it stops and flips. It sounded like Terminator.
Really weird. I can't wait to hear it in person. Apparently, because I mean the props are not the most efficient things in the world because you have to run backwards. But so they're a bit noisy, and I think from what I've gathered, it just makes it even more, even more kind of impressive. It's I can't wait. Yeah, Sunday's going to be fun. But it's an awesome bit of kit. I like the idea of it. If it's as strong as he says it is, then that'll be a great little 3D learner machine, I reckon. But,
I couldn't resist pulling up the YouTube video on that. That thing looks so much fun.
It does, doesn't it? Although my only concern is because it's the efficiency of it, because those props are running backwards, and I think he said it's about 3.5 minutes or something. Or 4 minutes, depending on sort of how hard you fly it. Yeah, it is a relatively short flight time. Yeah, but that's the cost of not having collective pitch, of having props that go backwards. They're not going to be as efficient, so you are going to lose a little bit of flight time. But it's so awesome.
I'm impressed at how quickly it can change directions. I wonder what the amp draw is on that.
That's what I was thinking. Why the flight time is probably so low? Is it must be killing the motors with changing from forwards to backwards all the time.
Well, in theory, it should. If the speed controller's clever enough, then it should just stopping it shouldn't be too. You shouldn't be using energy to stop it. It should just be shorting because if you short the coils out, connect the coils together, then that will instantly stop the motor. Try it next time you got a motor out of a model. Give it a spin. With the bullets connected together, give that a try. And
that breaks it.
Yeah, it won't. So if they're clever, they won't be using power to stop the motor, but obviously it will still take power to spool it back up again. But apparently the speed controllers are particularly special to guarantee that the motors will start back up again. The slowing down isn't the problem; it's the speeding back up again.
So is that how it's flying inverted? Is it reversing the motors?
Reversing the motor.
Yeah.
If you watch the teaser trailer that he released not long before the show, he's got a slow mo of it in front of himself, and it flips away from himself towards the camera in slow motion, and it goes up, and you see it go up, and it sat there face onto you, top onto you, and you see the motor slow, all 4 props slow down, and then stop, and then reverse and go the other way, and then to an inverted hover. It's,
So what was the best footage of that?
It's really awesome.
It's a pretty unique design, which I guess I'm not surprised that somebody came up with it, but I'm surprised it hasn't been come up with before now. But
it's got to be hard on the motor, though.
It has. I mean, that idea has been around for a while. There have been a few guys on the forums built their own ones, but Bobby's the first one to come up with it as a commercial product.
Yeah, it's apparently they spent a lot of time on the props and a lot of time on the software for the speed controllers to get that reliable restart. It's easy to stop a motor, but it's quite hard to start it again. So getting the restart reliable was a big challenge apparently. One of the reasons why it took them a year to get it to market was to playing around with the speed controller software to get it to work properly and be reliable. So talking to him about it was pretty cool, pretty impressive. It's sort of how it progressed and what the bits of kit they're using are and all that sort of stuff. It's and also the plans for it as well, because it's completely conceivable that with the right speed controllers tailored to the motors, you can make any quad a 3D quad. So you pick up special speed controllers to suit your motors from Bobby and the props, and then your quad, whatever it is you've got, bang, there you go, straight away, 3D.
Yeah, that's what I liked about that. It was that he was going to sell them separately. That's great.
And I think the Plank boys the 3D plankers were also creaming their pants over the reverted prop stuff as well. Like, because they've been doing this whole collective pitch stuff for a little while, but it's all really complicated and it's not very reliable because they run much higher RPM than we do. So getting collective pitch to work at those sort of RPMs is quite tricky. So they're all going, right, so if I put one of those motors on my plane, that would work quite well, wouldn't it? It's quite funny watching the questions come in. It was awesome.
Nice. All right, well, we are past everybody's bedtime, and Aid, it's almost time for you to get up to go to work.
Oh, God, don't remind me.
So, as always, I appreciate the hangout. A lot of great information. I think I'm going to go watch this about 10 times with my simulator to try and put some of this stuff to practice and sort out how my thumbs are working with turns. But at any rate, thanks, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Yep. And everyone else that didn't make it, I'll catch you on the next one.
Well,
See
thanks,
you guys.
So,
Bye.
Bye.